Today on the channel, after years of begging, years of pleading, the time has finally come as Lemmy Ultimate Edition is coming from Super 7.
The spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, a very excited Kyle here as today I am so happy to talk about and break down the brand new Lemmy Ultimate Edition figure from Super 7. Long-time viewers of the channel, heck, long-time people that have known me have known I've wanted an Ultimate Edition Lemmy basically since the word Ultimate Edition began. Had high hopes when we heard, oh, Ghost is getting an Ultimate Edition. Oh, King Diamond's getting an Ultimate Edition. I said, where is Lemmy? And the time, it is finally now as the pre-order is up right now. And as I always say, hit the link in the description below. I got a link to it over at Entertainment Earth. You can get your pre-order in. Personally, I probably need 5 of these figures. I'm not even kidding. I want to display all 3 heads. I want a mint on card one, and I want one for a rainy day or possibly some customizing potential on that one. So I'm all in on this Lemmy, as you guys know I would be. Like I said, I've been championing this for a long time, and we know Super 7 has had reaction figures of Lemmy over the years, and it was just a matter of time, I thought, until they would finally pull the trigger, until we would finally get there, and the time is now. The only problem is now, as Tom Petty always says, the old waiting, it's the hardest part, is we got 12 to 14 months to wait for this to be in our hands. But the time is coming. I am excited. We're right at the beginning of this first stages here. Pre-order is open for 30 days if you want to order from Super 7. But like I said, Entertainment Earth, that's where I'm going to pre-order mine from. Link in the description below. You can get yours there as well. So I wanted to do a little thing. I want to talk about this. I want to give a little bit of my thoughts on this. I want to break down the figure and kind of explain some of this. Being a big Lemmy fan, Motorhead fan, as you guys know, I saw Motorhead like 26, 27 times in concert. I would follow him around the Midwest. Heck, I went on both Motorhead cruises. Those were quite the experiences for sure. Just a very long time Lemmy fan. I loved his solo stuff, his head cat stuff. Lemmy, a Renaissance man, and a champion of the people, really is what Lemmy is at the end of the day. And one of the most inspiring individuals ever. He always said, you know what? I don't care what others think. I don't care what's going on. I'm going to do it my way. And I always try to live my life that way. You got the Ultimate Warrior's beliefs. You got the Lemmy's beliefs. And they kind of go together. And you get Kyle and his beliefs for the most part. And Lemmy never bucked to trends. Did what he did, even if it was unfashionable. He was always himself. He never tried to be something he wasn't. And there's a lot to be said for that in this day and age. And to get him in figure form, on top of all the CDs, vinyls, t-shirts, everything we've gotten over the years, just an awesome way to pay respect and love to the man that brought us so many great memories. And if you're watching this, you're probably a big Lemmy fan as well. Just really special. And the funny thing is, of course, Lemmy's had figures before. We're going to talk a little Super 7 figures in the past, but he's had some from, was it Toy Ark, and we've had statues from Knucklebones, things like that. Go Ape or something like that, toy lines. I have all the Lemmy figures. We've talked about them on the channel before. Lemmy wouldn't get a kick out of this. A lot of people are like, oh, too bad Lemmy's not here to see this, or he'd be so proud of this. Well, not really the case, as Lemmy kind of tongue-in-cheek made fun of his figures of the past a little bit. You know, Lemmy's not an action figure guy. He was never really an action figure guy. He was a, you know, war memorabilia guy, things like that. And I think maybe he's just, you know, it's kind of weird, a little figure of myself, all kinds of stuff like that. So there's been some famous quotes about Lemmy describing his action figure. You might want to look that up if you were so inclined. But I think Lemmy would not get as much of a kick out of this as probably I am, for sure, and some of the other hardcore fans, but I'm sure he would think it's pretty cool at the end of the day. How could you not? How could you not? But let's talk a little bit about this figure. Let's talk about things, but first off, of course, I mentioned earlier, we have King Diamond, we have Ghost figures in the Ultimate line, so we knew this was kind of coming, but where does this go from here? Is there a possibility, is the door now open, where we can maybe get waves of heavy metal icons? We know we got the Slayer Minotaur coming. That already went up for pre-order months ago. But with Ghost, King Diamond, Slayer, now Lemmy, what are the chances we get a Rob Halford Ultimate? I have to think that's pretty good. And then we're going to break down some of the possible inclusions of Lemmy, repaints, variant editions, things like that. We'll do that later in the video. But let's talk right now. Let's break down this figure a little bit. And I got my handy-dandy iPad right here ready to go. Let's break down my thoughts here. Now, this is the renders. This isn't final sculpt, anything like that. And hey, Super 7, you want to send me some renders, some sculpts? Man, I'm all in. I want to see this thing as soon as I possibly can. But Lemmy looks amazing here. This looks amazing. Now, I've been a little criticizing of Super 7 over the years on human skin tone, human faces. New Japan Pro Wrestling, the Matt and Bryan figures, for example. There's just a bit of a cartoony wash to the faces a little bit that I think just looks a little unrealistic. I don't know what to say, but this looks totally different than those. So I am so happy to report on how this looks. This looks phenomenal. Now, will it look like that when it gets into our hands? Fingers crossed, I hope that is the case. But these head sculpts, I always say that is the judge of a head sculpt. Can you give somebody just the head? Will they know who this is? You're going to know all day long that is Lemmy. Of course, they got his famous moles on the side of his face there. They got those. But we got 3 different heads for Lemmy. So the one that's on him is the perfect one that most people will probably use for Lemmy. It's just your standard, ready, non-smiling, non-frowning, just kind of middle-of-the-road face. And I think if you're getting extra heads for action figures, you should always have one of those. That's perfect to have for Lemmy. Of course, you got his patented handlebar mustache, his long, flowing, glorious locks, of course. Just looks absolutely awesome. And you know all day long, you see those eyes, that's Lemmy in the eyes. They got that to a fantastic detail, I think. Then you get to the other head sculpts here, and you get the snarl Lemmy. As we always know, Lemmy had that snarl, and he would take pictures with that snarl. He would sing with that snarl from time to time. Just a really good, with the lip up, a little Elvis Presley, a little nod. Of course, Lemmy, a big fan of rockabilly, things like that in the past, growing up and stuff. And of course, his Head Cat band, where he's doing rockabilly albums. So that is another good head sculpt. And then we get to the third one with the Glassics. So iconic to early 80s, I guess even late 70s, early 80s. Lemmy, the aviator style glasses, always looked good. He would sing with those. There's concert performances with those. So that is very iconic. Now, I'm not sure, but are the glasses removable? That would be great if they're removable, but I'd be okay if they were sculpted in, much like the King Diamond second head. I'd be okay with that. I think that would look good. He's kind of got a little smiling face there. I should say the other second head, his hair's kind of windblown a little bit, because you guys know when he'd let me sing, he'd have that mic up there and he'd tilt his voice, so you get a little bit of flow in the locks. They captured that perfectly in the head as well. So I love all 3 head sculpts here. All are great to me. Then you break down the body. Of course, the articulation, now it is single jointed. I know a lot of people want double joints, but this is single jointed figure, but it's Lemmy. He's not Spider-Man, as I say. I think this works just fine for him. I absolutely love the pinless joints. The pinless joints, awesome, awesome, awesome. Very, very pale, but as we know, Lemmy didn't see his sun a whole lot. There was a little bit of his time in LA when he was living there. That would have been the 80s, probably the short shorts Lemmy era. He was seeing some sun back in those days, but primarily Lemmy was about white as a ghost sometimes. He saw the inside of his bus, he saw the stage, he saw the inside of the rainbow. That's about it. I don't think he got a lot of sun. If you ever saw Lemmy's legs, they were white as a ghost. They would blind you. So I think the skin tone looks really good here, especially for early 80s Lemmy. This is, a lot of people would classify this as about Ace of Spades Lemmy, right around there. No Sleep to Hammersmith, maybe even a little Iron Fist in there as well. But very good representation. Then, of course, you get to the iconic Motorhead t-shirt, one of the most iconic band t-shirts, if not the most iconic band t-shirt of all time. You do get that in figure form. Now, it looks like we only get one. It is a tank top version. Would absolutely love it if they gave us multiple soft good versions, things like that. It doesn't seem to be the case right here, but we do get that iconic shirt, which Lemmy wore awesomely all the time. Now, we didn't get a denim shirt, a denim jacket, I should say. Now, he did wear a lot of denim around that time. Of course, there was times of him wearing leather, so didn't get any of that there. It's just the bare arms, all that. But we do get his iconic tattoos, of course, which were later touched up many years later. But you get his most iconic one with the Ace of Spades and the Born to Lose, Live to Win, one of the famous sayings from Lemmy, of course. One that just bounces around in my head at all times. Born to Lose, live to win. That's quite the motto. I think we should all try to live by that. But very iconic tattoos there. Breaking it down to his kind of trousers, as I guess Lemmy would say, but his bell-bottom trousers and his great shoes, those iconic white shoes he used to wear. The attention to detail there is absolutely fabulous. Absolutely do love that. Very cool on those. Now, breaking over to some of the accessories, and is when we're breaking down figures, we always talk hands, and this is the attention to detail I think a lot of people are missing in this Lemmy figure. What I absolutely love about these hands. Now, of course, you do get 2 gripping hands. You got to have your standard gripping hands ready to go. That makes all the sense in the world. You get 2 fists, as Lemmy might have to knock over a punk that's trying to get on stage, something, especially this era of Lemmy, maybe a bar fight, who knows. But you got 2 fisted versions for Lemmy. I'm cool with that. Then you get 2 little wider grip versions, and these are the hands that he can hold his Rickenbacker with, of course, his iconic Rickenbacker. We'll talk about that here in a second. And then the last set of hands are the ones where I think That's the attention to detail we got here. That's the attention to detail Super 7 is giving this Lemmy figure, is you got one hand with the cigarette. If you ever saw Motorhead, if you ever saw Lemmy, a cigarette was always handy to him. Obviously, that wasn't the best thing. I think Lemmy had a few choices, a few vices that probably didn't help him live as long as he wanted to. But you know Lemmy, he was there till the end. He would not give up on anything, including smoking. So he does have a smoking hand right there. And I do think this will make it to market. We do know there was a Krusty the Clown figure from Super 7 that got yanked because of the smoking hand that had to be replaced and stuff. I don't see Todd Singerman and the Motorhead management having an issue with this because they keep it real. That is Lemmy at the end of the day. He had a cigarette at the ready at all times. Now, the other hand is the middle finger hand. As we know, Lemmy, many photos, he'd be flipping people the bird, doing it all the time. Really a gesture of love most of the time. But the cool thing about Lemmy here is, and with the hands on Lemmy, he always didn't stick, you know, a lot of people stick that middle finger way up. Lemmy always had a little arch in it, a little arch there, and they got that perfectly in figure form here. That is great attention to detail, because if you ever see Lemmy throwing the finger, there's like an arch. It's barely up. I don't know if it was something with his hands or what, but that's exactly how it looks. So I thought that was really, really cool. Of course, the other great thing about all these hands, it does come with all the jewelry. The great horned frog, where Lemmy got all of his great jewelry throughout the years, got all of his rings there. That's great attention to detail. And then continuing on with more attention to detail, of course, the microphone for Lemmy. We all know Lemmy had that skinny mic most of his career for the most of the time, especially this era. This is 80s era. You could say even late 70s, early 80s. Lemmy is what we got going on right here. But of course, you got the long mic stand with the big arch with the microphone down, because Lemmy sang singing up to the mic. Instead of singing like this, he sang up. That was part of his vocal style, part of his delivery. Very, very iconic to his stage show, very iconic to everything Lemmy. Perfect, perfect. Absolutely love that. Then we get a bottle of whiskey. Now, everybody that knows Lemmy, Jack Daniels on his rider, always Jack and Coke, things like that. It makes sense. Yeah, I'd love to have Jack Daniels here. I'm sure you can go to a third party, get some stickers, turn that into Jack Daniels if you want to. But it makes sense here in action figure form. They're not promoting Jack Daniels. They're promoting Motorhead. They're promoting Lemmy. Why not do Motorhead whiskey bottle? I think that is a smart move. I understand that. We got to put our business hat on. That's where that comes into play. So I'm okay with that one as well. Same thing, I could have seen a pack of cigarettes, maybe some Marlboro Reds would have been okay, but you can only have so many accessories. I do understand that. Then you do get down to the bass guitar. Of course, Lemmy, iconic bass player, plays it with a pick, as we know. This is a Rickenbacker bass, very famous Rickenbacker basses, of course. We know Lemmy played those almost predominantly throughout his whole career. And this is a much, much earlier version. Now, I've seen some commentary, well, that's not the one he had. And a lot of people think of Lemmy with the very wood, intricate Rickenbacker he had much later in his career. Well, that wouldn't fit the time period here. This is the old one. And Live to Win, or Born to Lose, Out to Lunch, the famous saying on there with the 2 stars and the Iron Cross. Very, very famous, iconic Motorhead guitar, bass guitar that Lemmy used. Great attention to detail here. Now, like I said, a lot of people are saying, where's that other Rickenbacker? Where's Lemmy's hat? Well, for those that know Lemmy, he didn't wear that hat. He didn't wear the cowboy hat and stuff like that till later on, which turns attention here to the future. What is the future here? We know Super 7 loves variants. They love chases. They love glow-in-the-darks, and they love repaints. My fingers are crossed. I'm getting the carriage in front of the horse, whatever you want to say, obviously, but I'm already looking forward. What are the next versions of Lemmy? What more Lemmy figures could we possibly get in the future? And there is so many we could get, and I figured, why not break down some of this stuff right here? Of course, these are some of the Super 7 figures we've got in the reaction line. I'd have no issues, no problems if they want to make any of these as Ultimates. So we got a little bit more regular edition Lemmy. We got the gray pants. Very easy repaints they could do if they were so inclined, just like they did with the reactions here. But then this is the one I think a lot of people are thinking about. The little later version of Lemmy, of course, with the cowboy hat. More of like Admiral Lemmy or something. I don't know what you call him, Chief Lemmy, but very, very iconic. I have to think a later version of Lemmy. This is the most likely second one to happen, I would have to think, outside of repaints for this. But we got that, but then you could go on for days. We talked about Slayer's mascot getting a figure. Could we get the War Pig? Could we finally get this in figure form? I think that would be a very, very easy figure for Super 7 to make. Heck, they've made how many of these reactions? There's one there. You got a bloody variant. You got a glow-in-the-dark variant right here, the glow-in-the-dark one. So you got that. You got the all blacked out, murdered out one right there. And then the final one is the Japanese version, I guess, right there. So you could easily get a War Pig. I do see that coming as well down the line. And man, like I said, I'm here for all that kind of stuff, but I would love to see it. But some other versions of Lemmy that I would love to see, I would love to see in 2015 when Lemmy almost died. He came back. I was at the first show where he came back, and I was on the cruise after that. Like I said, I followed Motorhead around for a lot of years throughout the Midwest, but he came back, and he came back in a somewhat iconic outfit, something he never really wore ever again, but it was a denim western, a cowboy western shirt, I should say, but all in red. And you guys know I love a country western shirt. I've been wearing them for a long time, so Lemmy and I, we're on the same page there, but he wore a red one, where he always wore black primarily, but it was a bright red one. In 2015, on tour with Saxon, I want to say it was October 2015, I would love to see that. Now, that's a deep cut. I don't know if that would happen, but I would love to see that for sure. The other one I would love to see is Captain Lemmy. And really, some of this stuff could be done via different heads or different hats as well. You know, you could get that later edition of Cowboy Lemmy. Give him a captain's hat from the Motorhead cruise. Give that as a separate accessory. I would love to see that because I was on both those cruises, like I said. I met Lemmy on there. I remember going to bed in my cabin the last night thinking, this very well could be the last time I ever see Lemmy ever. We knew his health was really, really bad. He was struggling. It just didn't seem like it was going to be much longer. And unfortunately, he did die about 2 months later. And I remember staying in my cabin, turned over to my wife and said, you know what? I got to go see Lemmy one last time. And I knew he'd be at the casino on the ship. So that's what I did. I went down there very early in the morning. He had all his security guards around him, so you couldn't get to him. But I stood there right by him, kind of over his shoulder a little ways, watched him play video poker for a little bit in the slot machines and stuff. And I just remember saying, this is the last time I'm ever going to be around this guy. I just know it. And like I said, a couple months later, man, just rough. But he gave us a lot of great stuff for sure. But the cruise hat, that would be a great one. I talked about it earlier. I referenced it early. Lemmy in the short shorts. How about short short Lemmy? That would be a very tongue-in-cheek, funny one, of course. Anthrax, Scott Ian's told that story many a times in many of his interviews, even his book as well. But I'm here for that Lemmy. I don't know how well it would sell, but man, give me short shorts Lemmy. I'm here for that all day. But all kinds of different Lemmy figures they could end up coming with. Man, and like I said, I will buy every single one of these. But we do know the Super 7 crew, they are metalheads. They love music, so I have very, very high hopes for this one. The renders look fabulous. I mean, these obviously, to me, look about the best renders we've ever seen from Super 7 in all their toy lines. Maybe I'm biased, I don't know. But I am so hyped up and jazzed up about this. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to get this in my hand. Hopefully, I'm one of the first to get this one. You guys know I got my pre-orders in. I got to get this guy. But very, very cool. I'm excited for it. What could we see in the future? Is there more possibility for more Lemmy Motorhead type figures, heavy metal figures? Well, one way to do that, as I always say here on this channel, vote with your wallet. If you're buying this in great numbers, guess what? They're going to make more stuff like this. They'll say, you know what? Maybe we do need Halford. Maybe we do need to reach out to Iron Maiden, see if we can get Iron Maiden figures. It'll be interesting to see where it goes from there. But as you guys know, I'm here for it all day long, and you should be too. And like I said, link in the description below. Hit up Entertainment Earth. Get yours pre-ordered today. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on this Motorhead. Are you as geeked up about it as me? Probably the majority aren't, but I know there's a lot of good brothers that love their old heavy metal. They love their Motorhead. They're going to want this for sure. So let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Turn on the little notification bell. Follow along on social media, SirPaul64 on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson. Of course, ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. And of course, don't forget about the Patreon where you get videos like this and other videos much, much earlier. Bonus content, exclusive content, and monthly giveaways as well. And best of all, you get to support the channel. So for Lemmy, Motorhead, Super 7, Ultimate Edition, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.